Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, know nothing, control everything. Always appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. We're doing a Tuesday doubleheader for everybody today. This is one of those weeks where we got to give people more than what they ever paid for. So we got a bunch of consultations, a bunch of trustees enrolled in trustee training. This episode is going to be the doubleheader: how to purchase real estate in a trust. We know that everybody has this question traditionally when they come in trustee training. Once they get serious, or people that already have real estate, people that have real estate businesses. We've talked about this type of stuff on the vault before, whether it's in a real estate investment trust, a private real estate investment trust, or otherwise. We always appreciate it. We're going to just go ahead and go over today, in this particular episode, what really some of the details are. So we want to go ahead and preface that it's not legal advice, not financial advice. These are, conversations we have with trustees, whether it's through a consultation or even in the public, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about real estate and a trust. I mean, these are things that we talk about with trustees. I mean, this is what we talk about on the public side with high net worth investors, ultra high net worth investors. We talk about this with private equity. We talk about this with venture capitalists. I mean, you're going to talk to these people. You're going to talk to private family offices in the public about this because you're meeting them in the public platforms. You're meeting them, you're talking to them, you're finding out what their needs are, what type of investments they're looking for, what if they're doing partnerships and things of that nature. Because when we talk about purchasing real estate, at times partnerships can be, very, very important. So we just appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to go ahead and like and subscribe to the episode. If you're listening live, feel free to like the episode and share with us how much you appreciate us. We appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. Feel free to type into the chat where you're listening live or listening to replay from. So thanks to everybody for tuning in live. This is the Vault episode 324 doubleheader. This is usually the Tuesday episode that we do at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a doubleheader: how to purchase real estate in a trust. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about purchasing real estate and real estate in the trust, a lot of people understand that the trust is a person. And this is where we get into the game where it takes money to make money. And this is the bottom line. So there is no, oh, I'm trying to hypothecate my birth certificate, Trust Christian. I'm trying to hypothecate my birth certificate with the bank. I'm going to put it as a security and securitize it. Well, isn't that what a deed on a property is? It's a security. So do you have a lawyer involved? Do you have a security exchange? Do you have a title lawyer involved? Do you have a title company involved? Where's the title of the property going to be held? If it's private, remember? Because people are saying, oh, I'm going to take the birth certificate and then I'm going to go private. I get it authenticated and then I'm going to go private. We're talking about those people. Some of those people, some people say, oh, I don't know what that means. Why am I listening to that? There are people that listen to this podcast that have consulted and said this. So we're addressing it in a public podcast to everyone. So if you ever get hold of the information of, oh, well, I think my birth certificate is worth something because I was born in the United States. Well, that doesn't include you into automatic deed and securitization. So how to purchase real estate comes from possibly having collateral. Traditionally in the public, when you're talking about purchasing property, do you have the cash? Do you have the deposit in cash? So people say, well, do I have to have Federal Reserve notes, Trust Christian? Come on, Trust Christian. It's Federal Reserve notes. They're pieces of paper. They don't mean anything. Are we going to have a conversation about money doesn't mean anything when money provides either good water or bad water? Money provides either double ply toilet paper or single ply toilet paper. Some people knows what that means. Money does provide. So the Federal Reserve notes have a value, which they do. Why? Because someone is willing to exchange a deed, whether it's paid in full or mortgaged, to a person called a trust, or to an LLC, or to a corporation, or otherwise. How do you purchase the real estate? Some people say, well, Trust Christian, my family trust, we just starting out. We first generation. See, we can address it from first gen to second gen. It's a huge disparagement from the first gen to the second gen because second gen has money already. Remember, it takes money to make money. So they can purchase property with using equity. They might not even have to move property. They can just show money in a bank account. We know people right now that if you're with certain type of banks, all you have to show is certain amounts of money in the bank account, whether it's 50,000 or a million. If you show $1 million sitting in the bank account, you're lendable. They know you're able to pay back a debt for $200,000. So they'll give you $200,000 cash liquid to do what? Go purchase property. That's if you're with the right bank though. So when we talk to trustees about going with the right bank and establishing the relationship, if you plan on being a millionaire, whether it's at 25, 35, 45, when you have that million in the right bank, you're lendable. Well, why do I have to wait that long? Some people are 35 that contact the vault. Some people are 45. Some people are willing to get in trusteeship and work 10 years so they can get a property in cash. Because think about it, you're only going to work 10 years to get the million to get the cash liquid. It's up to you on your approach. But we're talking about how to purchase it. That means to just have a quote unquote lease or buyer's agreement on it. That doesn't mean you own it. It doesn't mean the trust owns it. It just is a buyer agreement. That's your mortgage. There's a debt obligation still unto be fulfilled. But nevertheless, did you come out of pocket with any money? No. You didn't personally. But it's a family trust property. It's taking care of the family now. It's the family estate. We called a trustee that we talked to. We dealt with at least 3 or 4 years ago. Easy. We're talking to this trustee and they're telling us, updating their life. And they said, yeah, we were going through some things, but because the property was held in trust, we're still here today. It's just, what happens when you change lives that way? What happens when you strengthen lives that way? What happens when you strengthen and hold families together? If you lose a house sometime, that might be over for your family tree. Some people never recover. Some people get one property their whole life. So to hold on to the family property in the correct position is proper. People think, oh, these celebrities, they don't die in vain. Their real estate isn't going to be divided up in probate. The state's not going to rip it apart. But when they pass away, when the celebrities pass away, when their estate's not in trust, oh, well, what happened? How did he not know? How did she not know? But then you get what they call regular people. The people they say that, oh, you shouldn't have a trust because you don't make $1 million a year, or you don't have $1 million in the bank. Isn't that what the big fish say? The big fish say that if you don't have $1 million cash, you don't deserve to have property in trust. That's one. They say if you don't make $250,000 a year, you should for sure not be touching trust. This is what the big fish say. This is what the ultra high net worth investors say. Not all of them, but some of them. So when we talk about diversification in asset holding, we're talking about an education it can work for what they call the little guy. People come to the vault all the time. Well, what do they say? They say, oh, what do I need to have to be in trust? Think about it. How many people are purchasing property? They say they're so-called purchasing property right now. You're purchasing real estate. But Trust Christian, the trust doesn't have any credit on it. Now you see the benefit of LLCs. Now you see the benefit of corporations. That's why you see these big companies, when they go public, they have corporations. But last time we checked, the owners of Google is Alphabet Company A, B, and C. Those are trust. It's right in front of your face. Yeah, Google has founders. Yeah, Google has CEOs. Those are board members, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you're a non-compensated employee. You're a board member. When you're a board member, you're not an employee. You're a board member. That's called an executive package. The executives of the company have a complete different pay structure than the employees do. Are we clear? The employees have an employee package. You heard about those things. They're called golden parachutes. That's when the company could be going under, but guess what? The CEOs are going to retire with 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures, 10 figures. Oh yes, that's how the CEOs are going to retire. The company's going bankrupt. Really? Let's go look at one of the most popular companies out there right now. Everybody knows the company Tesla. Tesla's made no money. The company's living off of debt obligations, debt notes, and loans, but they're still producing cars. What about the CEO? The CEO of the company's riding around on a what? Company jet. The CEO of the company, do you think he's paying for a company car? Do you think the CEO is paying for his own company car? Why would he do that? You think the other board members are paying for company cars? Wow, it sounds like they got a lot of company cars out there now. Wow, it sounds like they got a lot of petty de minimis funds off of not actually claiming a profit yet. They're not claiming a profit, right? Hold on, this company is not claiming a profit. They owe money, billions of dollars in debt. It could go under tomorrow. Why? Because they have not created a profit. Debt notes was them raising money privately, maybe even publicly. Why? Because they went public off of debt notes. They had private investors, VCs, hedge funds, private equity companies. They put a bulk of the money in the company. When you go look at any company that you're looking at on the stock market, ladies and gentlemen, real estate company or otherwise, because they have real estate investment trusts that people can get. When you go and look at those companies, you can actually see in their company portfolios who is the largest majority shareholders of their companies. Privately sometimes, not always, but sometimes, because they have different classes of shares. When you guys go look at Berkshire Hathaway stock, they have two classes of shares. But how many people know about the second class of shares for Berkshire Hathaway? The Class A shares are hundreds of thousands of dollars. The Class B shares, let's go see what Class B shares of Berkshire Hathaway are. And just to let you know, Berkshire Hathaway is in real estate. And they are specifically, when you go look at their company and their SIC code, SIC code, you can see that the company is in office space. We can get that to you here in a second. But let's just go see Class B shares for Berkshire Hathaway. We'll tell you the price, so you all can go get a ticket and go see him in Omaha. You get a ticket when you have a share of Berkshire. It's $279. Everybody tells you go get Nike, right? Everybody tells you go get this stock. We're not calling stocks. This is not financial advice or legal advice. We're not calling a stock. What we're talking about is Berkshire Hathaway stock. They got two classes of shares, just like Apple has. Excuse us, not Apple. Google has Alphabet A, Alphabet B, which are trust companies that are private owners, a majority of the company. Majority, remember? They have this in their documents. You can go research it. They have to have it. They're public companies. They took public people's money. Remember? They took the common man, the little man's money. So when you talk about, well, where does the little man go? Remember, because Google stock is huge right now. You know, Google's at all-time highs right now, probably. Let's go look at some Google stock real quick. So we got Google. Google's at all-time highs, most likely. They're ranging. But let's see. Yep, Google's at all-time highs, 2,500. But they didn't. But Alphabet A didn't issue their B stock yet. They didn't issue their C stock yet. But don't think they don't have it. Why? Because their A stock is $2,500, just like Berkshire Hathaway's is hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's how this game is played. Let's go see Berkshire Hathaway's SIC code for you all. Here we go. Berkshire Hathaway's SIC code, offices and other office holding companies. Really? Berkshire Hathaway is a small-sized business with high revenue. Ladies and gentlemen, this is called the industry standard code. You know, like these are codes that they give to companies to classify them so they can know whether they should get loans and things of this nature. Let's read what the SIC code, what they have classified themselves. So when you talk about what your real estate company is called, you know, when you're going to talk to your real estate friends, when you're going to talk to your real estate agents, when you're going to talk to your realtors, when you're going to talk to your what do they call them? Real estate lawyers. The SIC code, SIC code, Berkshire Hathaway Incorporated, operates primarily as offices of holding companies, not elsewhere classified. This is a gem, and we want to let you all know that this is a gem. This is definitely an emerald, a sapphire for you all today. Offices and other office holding companies. This is what this company is called. Supposedly one of the greatest investors. How come he doesn't call himself an investor on the legal documents of the company? Why doesn't he? But once again, that's why we share with you all this company. It's in real estate. What do you mean, Trust Christian? He's supposed to be an investor. What do you mean he's not an investor? I thought he was an investor. I thought he was holding stocks. He's not holding stocks. I thought he was holding stocks. Didn't they say he was buying stocks? They say he's an investor, right? They say he's an investor, right? He's supposed to be one of the greatest investors on the stock market of all time. That's a load of baloney. Do you know who Druckenmiller is? What is it, Dan Druckenmiller? Stan Druckenmiller? Stan Druckenmiller. Stan Druckenmiller is one of the biggest asset managers of our time. Opened the fund and closed the fund. He doesn't have to stick around. Sometimes when you're that good at what you do, you can retire. You don't have to keep playing the game because you're trying to keep up. Appreciate everybody that likes the video and subscribes. Always appreciate everybody that likes and subscribe the video. Appreciate you all for tuning live. This is a replay. Feel free to type into the chat as well where you're listening live, listening to replay from. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. How to purchase this real estate in a trust, because ladies and gentlemen, the average individual is not talking about purchasing it. And then when you get it, once again, there's over 80 different types of trust. So we're always going to get well, what type of trust should you do it in? Trust Christian, I don't know where to start. I got to go to the lawyer that deals with trust to know how to do it, right? But you got to go to the lawyer to know what trust you want, because they're only going to maybe share with you the one that you ask about, possibly. Because if you don't go in there knowing that there's more than one type of trust that can hold this real estate, you might go in there and fall for the okey doke. You might go in there and fall for the living trust. Because they might ask you more questions and say, well, you got assets, right? All over the place. Well, let's just do one big trust. Let's do the living trust. Let's do the public trust. Oh, then they may say, hey, well, you're in Chicago or you're in Florida, so let's just do the land trust. Some states may say, well, let's just homestead it. Why would you? Some people say, why would I not homestead the property instead of trust it? Because when we talked to that trustee that we had go through trustee training 3 to 4 years ago, the trustee said because they didn't have it in their name, they were safe. They didn't say, oh, well, it was because it was homesteaded. You know what homeless people are. If that was the case, homeless people could go homestead a house, right? This is where I live. I'm taking care of the property. That's not the case. We know that as adverse possession. How do you purchase the property? Some people say, oh, you got to have hard assets. You got to be able to collateralize assets. You have to be able to show lines of credit that are attached. Now we're living in this credit environment. But what happens when people say, oh, well, the trust doesn't have credit? It's first generation, not the second generation that has the money, has previous established credit. We're talking about first generation establishment. Traditionally, we talk to people and just say, hey, well, everything comes through asset protection, through asset separation. So why not go the route of going in, building in public credit on a public entity? The companies are favorable to public entities, as you all can see. The Berkshire Hathaway is incorporated, even though it's privately held. Berkshire Hathaway still has private, shareholders and board members and things of that nature. So when we talk about the real estate being purchased, which you can see clearly that some way, somehow, some way, somehow, we'll say it again, some way, somehow, Berkshire Hathaway is a real estate company classified on the books. Now, we're not saying that it's a real estate company because they didn't say that. They said that they're an office holding company type deal of other holding companies. Okay, so they went the route of real estate because if you do Google searches, you can actually see that there are real estate properties that Berkshire Hathaway holds for office buildings. So they do have a diversified portfolio in real estate. And this is always going to be the quantum question of should every wealthy investor, high net worth investor hold real estate? Where traditionally, and everybody says, well, where's the wealth held? Is it held in real estate? And things of that nature. Is wealth 60% of the wealth is held in real estate minimum, and that's always going to be true. It's just the case because there's only a finite amount of land. When you have land, you also have depositories under that land, so there's equitable value beneath the earth. So there's value that goes beyond even the surface of having title to the initial property where people are going to rent. You don't necessarily have to rent. People can excavate and dig and things of that nature. So land has a lot more value in that respect. So once again, when we talk about land being purchased through when we talk about what is that through some form of collateral, some form of equity, When we, these are things that we have to really consider, because it can be purchased through dollars, and things of that nature. We have given tips, or ways to go about doing that. When we say, even on the public side, people say, well, what if I go to the public side and then the trust, they just opened up a company, but now it doesn't have any credit on the company? Well, this is where you're still an executive of the company. You're not an employee. So a lot of times you see a lot of people just go ahead and co-sign for the company initially in the beginning to get the companies off the ground and things of that nature. And we understand that a lot of trustees don't like doing that. We know that this is an uncomfortable thing. We get this in the consultations where a lot of people don't feel comfortable co-signing for things of that nature. And we understand that level of point, that pain point for people. And this is where you get into where we talk about trustees, particularly trustees that are in a training or sometimes consultations, which is partnering with people that have the capital, so they can, put you in a position where you don't have to necessarily come out of pocket. And this is just always exercising your negotiation skills. This is always exercising your business acumen, being able to negotiate deals, allow people to get in on deals. Sometimes, once again, if you do not want to have your name on things as a purchaser, but the company is purchasing the property, you can always go into a venture with someone else where it's a period of time. They're going to be board recognized, they're going to have profits recognized, but at the same time, that company that you're working with, that you started, that you're managing, is able to build a track record, build a level of history. Once it's able to build this level of history, if that person ends up leaving the company, boards do rotate, boards do change. Because they're able to rotate and change, you're still the primary board member, whether that's over trusteeship or whether that's over the LLC. In turn, that contract for you to GP or LP it out for that particular venture, for that particular property, you could go into a venture with someone for 3 properties in the acquisition of that LLC or that trust, period. This is not advice. Once again, people try to say, oh, is it legal advice, financial advice? No, it's not. This is having a conversation through consultations and with trustees. So once again, when we talk about the acquisition of this property, people do ask these level of questions, which is, okay, if we're going to do an LP, how does those numbers look? Because then people are going to come behind closed doors and ask, well, what about the deals? How do we structure the deals? This is where people have to improve their business acumen, things of that nature, because that is the case. You're going to have to improve your business acumen to be able to negotiate a deal with someone that has the capital. Once again, there's more capital than there is deals. So the fact that if you're able in the beginning of your career purchasing real estate, first generation, not second gen, first generation, building wealth in trusteeship, there's going to have to be anyways, because everybody thinks that people aren't doing partnerships at the top level. They think people are just doing independent deals. You think you're going to get independently wealthy by yourself, and that is just a load of BS. Everybody at the top does general partnerships. Everybody at the top does limited partnerships. Everybody at the top does joint ventures. That's the way it works. That's how you get wealthy. You have to break bread. Where we come from, that's what we call it, breaking bread. You have to break bread. You have to be willing to do deals with other people that you trust. So it does warrant for people to be trusting people, warrant for people to trust people, and things of that nature. And so that's very important. Not everybody can trust everybody. So that's what you're going to go through as a trustee in the beginning, even as a real estate manager, is you going through having to vet quite a few people, doing background checks, making sure people are compliant with their licenses, all these different type of things. Appreciate Connecticut for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate Connecticut for tuning in live, listening to replay. How to purchase real estate in a trust. It's not advice. We're having a conversation, because the conversation is what we get in the consultations. Well, how am I going to go about doing this? Because they're still living on the public side, and they maybe haven't made the decision on how they're going to go private, so they're trying to get the snippets. Everybody says, well, is there a book I can read on this, Trust Christian? Is there a book I can read on it? How are you going to read about a private process on the public internet? It's private for a reason. Where are the private lawyers at? Google them. How do you purchase the real estate? And we could title it how to purchase real estate in a private trust, but we're going to just say how to purchase real estate in a trust, because there's multiple types of trust, as we can all agree. There's multiple trust that you can purchase real estate. So which one is it, Trust Christian? How do we do that? Trust Christian at the Vault. Christian at trustchristian.com. Trustee Training is going to give the thorough answer, but on this episode, we've given enough food for thought that everybody likes to wing it. Everybody likes to not get the mentorship, right? This is a question. Are you trying to shortcut the shortcut? Are you trying to shortcut around the trustee training program? Because when you're talking about what we're talking about, it's specific. It's very germane to who do you need on your team. If that was the case, you would have had the team. Now, we do get people that come to us that are already in real estate. They already have property. They're already in the LLC. Okay, cool. At this point, how do you purchase real estate in the trust? The trust just ends up owning the LLC. The trust ends up owning the corporation. And now it owns that property. Simple as that. Right? Appreciate Carrollton, Ohio for tuning in live. Appreciate Carrollton, Ohio. Always appreciate you all for tuning in live, listen to replay. Feel free to like and subscribe to the episode. Always appreciate everybody that likes and subscribes to the episodes every single week, every time we put out the information. Just going over today, the Vault episode 324 doubleheader, Tuesday episodes, how to purchase real estate in a trust. A very high in demand question we get through consultations. Trustees ask this question all the time. And it's really simple. It's own nothing, control everything. Trust Christian. Own nothing, control everything. You got to think business, not personal. We had the mentor. This is what the mentors told us, trustees. Everybody says, oh man, I wish I had the mentors like you, Trust Christian. I wish I had the lawyers. I wish I knew the private lawyers. I wish I knew these private people first. I wish I had the private families mentor me. We're going to tell you what the mentor said. Appreciate Delaware for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate Delaware for tuning in live, listening to replay. Delaware. Delaware is one of those states too. They used to have a lot of. It's like the old Bahamas or BVI, British Virgin Islands. That's where a lot of people used to put a lot of corporations. You still see a lot of corporations be launched there. They actually have still probably one of the highest holdings of corporations that the company isn't really even predominantly there, but filed there in that state. And people still are leery of Delaware. People try to get away from these old time states, the Delawares, the Nevadas, the Wyomings, the Montanas. They try to get away from these states, but in all actuality, these states are where your big corporations, whether it's Omaha, or not, these companies are still filed over in these type of states, and it's for a good reason. They have laws that haven't changed in these states. They're favorable for these corporations, for people to not have to put their names up, to protect their privacy, things of that nature. Somebody said Wyoming. I thought we said Wyoming. Maybe didn't say Wyoming. Wyoming's definitely a classic state. Look into it. This is where you're weighing your options as entrepreneurs and investors, ladies and gentlemen. What are the implications of you maintaining your privacy if you do have to go into the public? We don't discourage trustees from going into the public. We encourage trustees to build big businesses, build family legacies. That might mean you build a big business. So if you got to open up a business, if the trust have to open up a business in real estate in Wyoming, then that's favorable. It's favorable for the family. We see families do it all the time. So this is what the mentors told us. The mentors said, pay for everything in cash. Cash is king. We could do a triple header today where we talk to you all about cash is king. But we're going to leave that for another episode because cash will be king. But we got these crypto and these internet junkies out here. They think, because they got an addictive device in their hand, that the cash that's sitting in their hand, it doesn't mean that it equates to zeros in the bank account. When it does, the zeros in the bank account can be disseminated down or taken out in cash. Cash is king. It's the denominator. It's the dominator. How to purchase real estate in a trust? Cash. Sometimes, when you're in a non-taxable event now, not because you're purchasing it, but because you have an asset, not an income. An asset. It's different when an asset holds another asset. Did you know that assets can hold other assets? Did you know that? Because value overtakes other value.
See, this is finance. See, they call it creative finance when you go to school. They call it creative finance, you know. You can go to creative finance classes where they have these things called hypothecation, where once again, all you need is $50,000 in the bank account to sometimes to invest and people will give you money. All you need is $1 million in the bank account and you can invest and people will give you the money. You don't even have to have any money to use. They're going to use the money. But how many people are aware of that? How many people are striving for that? How many people are working for that? We know that we have a diverse audience. We do have the high net worth investors listening, but we're talking about to a very diverse audience where the 80% of the population is looking to get into high net worth investor status. And there are quite a few high net worth investors. Ladies and gentlemen, mark our words. If you're listening, keep listening for the next few seconds. There is more money than deals. Your job as a first generation trustee, first generation wealth builder is to partner with wealthy people. Hopefully, it's the righteous ones. There's more money waiting to be given to you because you can find smaller deals. You can find micro deals. You can find deals in niche markets. Investors, sometimes high net worth investors, usually get to a point where they can't see smaller markets. They're in so many different markets that they're managing multiple markets. So you being in a specific market, you provide a competitive advantage for them to allow to maintain their family wealth from the previous generation and allow you to build wealth with a previous generational track record experienced generational wealth asset manager. But oh no, no, trust Christian, I don't come from wealth. Who said you needed to come from wealth? Oh no, no, trust Christian, I wasn't taught this information. You can go actually partner with a general partnership and say, they'll say, look, we'll provide the management team, we'll provide the money, just go find a deal. Can you do that? How many people have listened to the vault, went through the trustee training? How many people have listened to it, went and taken Jamal Williams classes? Jamal's class, got through the real estate course. We know many trustees that have shelled out thousands of dollars for real estate training. Do you have the person that's going to do the GP? That's going to provide the legal team? But you bought them a deal, remember? That's all you did. That was your job. See, in a business, everybody has a job. In trusteeship, everybody has a job. Not every trustee is the managing trustee. Some people can be a secretary. Some people can be a marketer. Some people can be a property manager. Appreciate, we got, yeah, someone typed in Wyoming. So now you see in a general partnership with some of these wealthier clients. So we had a trustee come through the other day. Well, where do you meet these wealthy trustees, Christian? Where do you meet these wealthy trustees? You know, these private trustees. Where do you meet these people at? Because we trying to meet the private trustees that do real estate, not the public ones. Because if you look, we're gonna give you out the public and the private jewel. The public jewel is you going to literally all you have to do is type in your county and real estate investor association. So if you live in Cumberland County, it would be Cumberland County Real Estate Investor Association. If you lived in Los Angeles County, it would be Los Angeles County Real Estate Investor Association. If you live in, we don't really know, it doesn't matter. County Real Estate Investor Association, that's the public side. Do you go to those? Of course you do. You meet public lawyers, you meet public accountants, you meet public real estate agents, you meet public realtors, you meet public general contractors, you meet public people that teach people how to market their real estate companies. You meet these people that are wholesaling, you meet people that are doing deals, people that have money in the room publicly. So then where do you meet the private ones, Trust Christian? You gotta Google private real estate investor forums. Let's Google that for everybody that's on that gravy train. Everybody wants to go private. We trying to go private, Trust Christian. Private real estate, because you got to do real estate. Private real estate investor forums. You really want to do forums. They got a company that comes up. National Real Estate Investing Company. We're not promoting any company on this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Um, Once again, you guys can see real estate, different companies. You'll have to go through, check them out. But once again, you're going to see different forms. Some people say, uh, here we go. Yeah, REI, REI Club.
We're definitely familiar with them. REI Club is definitely, I definitely think that's a classic one. REI Club, definitely, this is a classic one. And you see a lot of general conversation. You're going to see a lot of public stuff. But once again, we specifically instructed you to Google the private ones. But that's the case, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, you're going to have to Google. We'll go into high net worth investor, real estate investors. You got to go, instead of doing private, you can do high net worth. HNW. We're going to see other ones. High net worth. High net worth real estate investor forums. And you guys can just look in there. They have different ones in there for you all to see, uh, different ones. And so, once again, ladies and gentlemen, you're looking for asset managers. You're looking for real estate managers that are talking that private game too. When we're talking about private trust, you're talking about the ones that are talking privately. Period. You want to hear that language coming out their mouth. You want to hear them owning nothing, controlling everything. And this is something we go over with trustees for sure and in consultations. But everybody asks about that. It's like, look, first of all, you just got to get in front of people that can talk the same language as you, especially if you're talking a specific language and looking to go private. If you're looking to have private pub property held in a private capacity, you got to get in front of the right people privately. So when we're talking about real estate being held in the proper capacity, you got to get in front of the right team. So that's why the consultations help out. The consultations help you out in that capacity because we put you in a position where we at least say, hey, these are the people you want to talk to. These are the people you want to conversate with. These are the people you want to look at for team. We have people in the private that we already deal with. So we know people that have integrity. We know people that have private lenders. You got to know private lenders. You got to diversify your education and your asset base of education, not just asset base of holdings, but asset base based off of actual knowledge. Because that's what you're talking about here now. You're talking about how to purchase real estate in a trust. You have to acquire the education, whether it's through a consultation. You guys can get a consultation, Christian at trustchristian.com. Feel free to hit the like and the subscribe button, and feel free to get a consultation, Christian at trustchristian.com. How to purchase real estate in a trust. It has to be specific to each family situation because you have families that either have real estate already and are looking to do it in a private capacity, or you're looking to deal with families that are in a position where they're like, hey, we want to start doing this. So we already are letting you know, whether you come into the vault or not, what's wrong with you going to the Real Estate Investor Association in your local area? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with families doing it in a GP or LP perspective? What's wrong with that? That's what it's going to take, especially if you don't have the money in, as a first generation property acquisition person. When you're looking to acquire property in that position, you either are going to do personal guarantees, PGs, or you're going to put yourself in a position where own nothing, control everything, and you're talking that language. Appreciate Ashbury Park, New Jersey for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate Ashbury Park for tuning in live, listening to replay. It's just, ladies and gentlemen, this is a simple topic. A lot of times people are pulling property that's in the public on the public books and pulling it into the private. So when you actually do purchase full in cash, you actually benefit the fact that there's less fees that are going to be associated with it. And we're talking to families about purchasing a property in trust, which is still the private family foundation. The private family foundation is a trust. You think that the Rockefeller Foundation, which is a private family foundation, doesn't hold property? Do you think that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which is a private family foundation, is a trust, doesn't hold real estate property? That's what we're talking about. Not just on a big scale, we're talking about on a small scale, on an everyday family level. You think that the Bill and Hillary Clinton Foundation didn't purchase real estate property? They already got accused for a bunch of different things. It's plausible to think that they didn't. This is what we're talking about. This is the environment you say that you're looking to engage in. This is how it's done. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen to replay. Feel free to like and subscribe to episode so we can continue to get the message out to people. Feel free to type into the chat where you're listening live, listen to replay. Feel free to get a consultation, Christian at trustchristian.com, and just be very aware. Next workshop's looking to be done in October, so start preparing, start listening to the Vault episodes more frequently, more and more. Go back into past episodes. We actually have Cornell the Trader actually looking to do a what is that, a trader webinar here on August 1st. So feel free to reach out if you haven't taken a trader course, learning how to trade out of the trust account as a trustee, trading out of the trust account as a trustee. That webinar is on August 1st, so feel free to reach out. We've had trustees throughout the years. We have rooms dang near packed out just for trading out of the trust account trusteeship at this point. So that's what we do. You got to be able to provide value, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot of good things going on at the vault right now. Trustee training, got the webinar coming up. Trading out of trust account webinar coming out August 1st. Feel free to sign up for that. Christian at trustchristian.com, and we'll get you over to Cornell. You guys can get in that training. It's a 1-day training. It's a training for trading out of a trust account. As a trustee, you got to know how to be a trader if you're going to do that. A lot of people, we have quite a few independently wealthy people do that. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. Always appreciate you all. Someone typed in the chat, can we see your question? But that's a question for a consultation. Just know that. Yes, learning trading how to trust account is August 1st. Cornell the Trader definitely will be doing that webinar. So feel free to reach out. Christian at trustchristian.com. Christian at Trust Christian. Appreciate Stockton, California for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate Stockton, California. Everybody, shout out to you all. Peace.